All of these precautions come as lawmakers react to new allegations about what happened the day before rioters stormed the Capitol, chilling accusations of a possible inside job. News Nation correspondent Michael Shore live again for us tonight in D.C. with that part of the story. Michael.
And now the reckoning, Rob, exactly. The investigations, the arrests taking place across the country, perpetrators being added to no-fly list. But what's happening on Capitol Hill is the most compelling. A member of Congress saying that she saw members of Congress leading tours throughout the Capitol the next day, then saw those people the day previous, then saw those people the next day on Capitol Hill during the riots. This is all happening as the FBI is brought into the investigation because of these allegations. Mikey Sherrill is telling us that her office is telling us that that they're not going to comment on who those people were. She is not naming names. Perhaps her training as a Navy pilot is preventing her from doing that. Her naval training dictates that you don't name names, you bring it to the authorities. But here is the story of what's going on Capitol Hill.
Gentlemen will proceed.
An allegation from a member of Congress that some of her own and as yet unnamed colleagues were just a day earlier giving tours to some who took part in the assault and vandalism last Wednesday.
And that investigation has started and is now ongoing. So I'm not talking about exactly the people that I saw, but I will be conveying that to them. However, make no mistake, the only way that these people, these groups, could have gotten into the complex is if another member of Congress or their staff walked them in.
New Jersey Democrat Mikey Sherrill and 30 colleagues sent a tersely worded letter to the newly installed acting House Sergeant-at-Arms and Capitol Police Chief, making claims and asking questions, including whether authorities track visitors to the Capitol by member of Congress.
The only reason you'd have a visitor is on official business. So to see these groups around the Capitol complex was really striking.
This Congress led by
Texas Republican Chip Roy needs to hear more.
If somebody's going to make a charge like that, they better be able to back it up.
Former Representative Ben McAdams agrees the Capitol tours are a perk of being members, but the times have changed.
And so I would often take constituents who are in town, I take them in the evening to tour the Capitol, and that's a privilege that you have as a member of Congress. But in March, those tours ended, and the Capitol was shut down to anyone but immediate family.
Getting to the bottom of this will take time. Ohio Democrat Tim Ryan says it's simply part of investigating January 6th.
We should ask all members if they were giving tours in the days prior to January 6th. I would hope every member would volunteer that information. It doesn't mean that a member of Congress was necessarily conspiring.
It isn't just here in the halls of the Capitol where members of Congress are on edge. As a matter of fact, when they leave the security of this building and this complex, they get to the airport, and things have not gone well there either.
Lindsey Graham, you are a traitor to the country.
Members of Congress being harassed on the way home from work is a sign of the uncertain times and division that official Washington is trying to overcome.
And let's get back and get busy doing the work of the American people and carrying the country forward. Let's move forward united.
Former Representative Ben McAdams of Utah, who you saw there in the piece, told me a story about the fact that he had his daughter and his daughter's friend inside the Capitol in December when he was still in office, and the Capitol Police told him that they all had to leave because he wasn't related to the friend. He finds it curious, and the investigation will go on. Joe?
Michael, thank you.